Hey, audience, on behalf of Operation Rock, I am Clayton here to talk a little bit today about holding your accuser accountable. Sometimes we are placed in situations, audience, whether it be criminal or civil or family, where someone may use the processes of the court or the police to file false accusations on you. Now, these false accusations can be very damaging. They can cause you to be falsely arrested, maliciously stalked, and horribly harassed in the family courts using abusive litigation. They can affect your custody or your relationship with your children. They can affect your job, your social standings, etc. The problem with society nowadays is that it has a tendency to prosecute the innocent and immediately make them guilty. The overall concept of the American legal system is that you are innocent until proven guilty. However, it doesn't seem to work like that nowadays in the court system that we work in. If an allegation is made against you as a minority, whether you be a male in a family court setting or you simply be an African American, Asian, or Hispanic male, you are going to be discriminated against. See, your rights are going to be put secondary to whoever the court decides is the more favorable litigant. And the person against you could even be a defendant, people. Most of the times that these allegations and these court proceedings happen, they're based on what's called ex parte petitions, which is supposed to be a truthful account of what this litigant is claiming happened in order to bring an allegation before the court for prosecution. When ex parte orders of protection are granted in family court, these orders of protection are granted with the specific intent to protect innocent victims against their offender. But what happens when the family court discovers that the allegations of a petition could be false? Well, by New York law and federal case law, if you determine that a petition submitted to the court is false, then the filer of this petition is guilty of fraud to the court and interfering with the judicial process. And that's supposed to be an offense that is punishable by perjury. But what we have noticed, and there is a rising tendency among law enforcement refuses to prosecute false offenders. They refuse to prosecute those who file false petitions of domestic violence offenses. They refuse to prosecute and arrest people who file false police reports where someone's rights and liberties are taken away from them based off the fraudulent complaint of someone else. As a victim, we fight, and you may fight for years to clear your name from false allegations that someone has put against you. And I have noticed that if you're a male, the only thing they seem to be willing to do is dismiss it and not grant you the justice that you deserve as a victim. Because remember, if someone lies on you and files false reports and you're arrested, you have been victimized. Your rights and liberties under the 14th Amendment have been stripped from you when you were illegally seized by the police for something you didn't do. That in itself is a crime, and the police have a mandatory obligation to arrest anyone who they determine files false reports, not ignore them. But this is the current attitude. This is the current climate within law enforcement. Is law enforcement does not prosecute those who file false reports. What they do is they overlook the false reports because see a lot of arrests, and I totally believe this. I believe that actively right now in law enforcement, over 50% of the arrests made in every jurisdiction is illegal. And it's false. What they do is they use the law to cover their misconduct, and they use the truth of and the reality of the times we live in, that most people are not educated on matters of family or criminal law and don't know their rights to the extent to which they can beat the police when the police falsely arrest them, detain them, question them, or if they're put before a family court for a false allegation. When it's a personal matter with someone you care about, or if it involves your insurance people, you're going to get emotional. People, you're human. Anyone who is in a situation with someone they once cared about is lying through their teeth on them or trying to do something to hurt or injure them, you're going to become emotional because it's your natural response for someone you have an emotional connection to. The family court will actually use that against you. They'll use your anger. They'll use your annoyance at the situation. They'll use any attitude you may have because you're simply tired of going through the situation to turn that against you to say you are negative. It doesn't matter that the reason you're angry is that someone lied on you and falsely prosecute you. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to family court is how you present yourself in court. It doesn't matter that someone has lied through their teeth and that every petition they filed against you is falling apart. No. The only thing that matters, people, is that the family court prosecutes who it truly wants to prosecute. And who I believe that is, and I'm going to say this again, is I believe the family court is inherently against men. It's against the family unit. And in the United States of America, where I live, because I can only speak about my country, the United States of America, racial the racial doctrine that was instituted after the post-Civil War is the same doctrine that has been injected into our legal system, family and criminal, to I would say violate the rights of minority victims. You have a problem. You have three situations. I think that family court is a three-tier problem. One, you're on tier one if you're a man in family court. You already have a problem. That's one strike. Two, if you're a man in a minority, people, you step to the plate in family court with two strikes already, and you almost out because they don't like men, they don't like minorities. Three, you have a criminal record. It doesn't even matter if it's a traffic ticket, anything. You could have had a fight with a gentleman 25 years ago that had absolutely nothing to do with your wife. Your wife will use that to say you have a violent nature. And the family court is so desperate to create litigation, they'll take a complaint from a complainant that where they mentioned something that didn't even happen with them 30 years ago to try to establish some type of intent or conduct towards them. Now, is that illegal? It is. But the way they manipulate case law so well, they get away with it. So a lot of the point of my broadcast, excuse me, not to stutter, is victims need to hold false accusers accountable. When a case is dropped against you, that's not the time to say, you know what, I'm glad it's over. No, people, now it's just beginning. Because the truth of the matter is, people, is it's not about vengeance, it's about justice. When someone ruins your life, when someone destroys your relationship with your child, when someone attacks your reputation, when someone has you arrested multiple times, people, those are violations to your personal, to your emotional state and your physical well-being. All of those are actions that are damageable under civil law to which you can get damages. If you allow someone to file false charges on you, whether it be in criminal or family court, and you do nothing after the case is dismissed, guess what? You've just allowed that person to violate your civil rights. And the courts want you to do that. The courts don't want you to take the person who filed you to court for false reports to court, because that's going to expose the incompetence of the court that they didn't check information. Because again, people, over half the arrests that happen that people are arrested are false. And the only reason the police get away with so many false arrests is because no one knows the law well enough to hold them accountable for the things that they actually can be held accountable with. See, when a police officer arrests you, a police officer has what's called qualified immunity, which means they have immunities that are granted to them by the job that protect them from making a mistake in your arrest. Unless that arrest is made with an explicitly malicious intent or some type of racial factor that's discriminating against you, some type of discriminatory factor, excuse me. If you can prove those two things, then obviously the law would not protect a cop who uses the law to violate your civil rights, thereby breaking the law. Um, but again, people, most people who are falsely arrested, forgive me, I got stuff on my desk. Most people that are falsely arrested never do this. They're so happy that the case is dismissed, people, that you know what they do? They go on about their life, because the truth of the matter is nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants to live in court. People, when you have been in a situation where you've been dragged back and forth to court for years, the happiest day of your life when that situation is underway is the day that that case ends. Because people, court is annoying. Nobody wants to go to court and have to be subjected to these idiots in the court all day who literally sit back and lie through their teeth on people all day just to keep themselves employed. Because people, I'm sorry, that is the entire purpose of the family justice system. The family justice system has so much, what's the word I'm looking for? God, what's that word when people when it's a waste of government efficiency, people. Today I go into family court actually because I had to get some paperwork. And people, I walk to the clerk's office to get paperwork. There's 8 employees standing there laughing and talking. Shouldn't y'all motherfuckers be working? What are y'all standing here laughing for? Oh, we don't have anything to do right now. We're bored. But it's 18 people in the office, people. Why are all these people in the office if you guys have enough time for everybody to be sitting in this office laughing through their teeth like this is a joke? See, people, this is how they create jobs for themselves, because they accept frivolous and vexatious litigation, use them to start cases, and then prosecute people or bring people before the court for actions, knowing the actions are unsubstantiated. Now, people, again, I can use some personal examples for that. And most recently is 2 days ago. A complaint against the mother of my child was dismissed because the court reviewed her complaint and realized there was no actionable offense on her complaint. Now, people, that's not a problem. That's okay, because there was never an actionable complaint on the offense. So I'm not actually angry about that. What I am angry about is this: is I was falsely arrested for this complaint. So I have received both financial and personal damage by the fact that this woman, and emotional damage, excuse me, by the fact that I was detained in these disgusting conditions because someone lied on me. People, but the court doesn't want to prosecute that, because then by prosecuting that again, you're going to expose the cop who didn't investigate the matter. You're going to expose the court's reluctance to actually charge the women who violate civil rights and do this to people. So what the court is going to do, if it's the male victim, is they're going to try to ignore a woman violating the order of protection. They never ignore a man. A woman can say you spit at her too hard. A woman can say you spit in the wind and it looked like the wind directed it towards her, so you spit at her, and the cops are going to come arrest you. See, as a man, all a woman has to say is you breathe on her too hard, and the cops are going to come arrest you. But men, as men, we go to the police with phone calls, pictures, witness testimony, records, bruises, and unless you get the right cop who is not a racist bastard or totally biased against you because he doesn't believe that a male can be a victim, nothing's going to be done to this woman. She's not going to be arrested. She's not going to be prosecuted. Nothing's going to happen. And I honestly think that's a major bias that's in law enforcement that needs to stop. The fact that law enforcement constantly discriminates against minority or male victims with regard to domestic situations needs to stop, because we don't live in a time where it's only the men anymore committing physical or domestic violence abuse. We live in a time where women are equal to men. Women are just as sexually promiscuous. Women are just as big as liars. Women are equally as dangerous today as men are. Excuse me. That is a fact. So if the family court refuses to accept this fact, because in accepting this fact they're going to kill their own litigation, it's up to us as the victims who have been lied on, the victims who have been falsely prosecuted, the victims who have had a process abused on us to hold the family court accountable. So people, I am currently in battles with Brooklyn Family Court, and I'm about to sue Staten Island Family Court because this racist judge has most certainly discriminated against me and violated my rights. Because people, the truth of the matter is, it's not even about my offenders. I could care less about my ex. She's a cornball, people. Any woman that could sit back and continue to lie on a man this bad because he hurt her, when the only thing you have to do is tell the truth and go on about your life, people, I feel sorry for this girl. This girl's a loser. And I looked at her today and I just said, yo, you're a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just was watching her. I was like, you're a joke. You would think that this would go on by now, people, with all the hurt, with all of the damage that has been done to the lives of both of us. You would think that this woman would have enough maturity to get on with her life. But people who are immature, people who are vexatious, people who are truly malicious and psychological, they'll never leave you alone, people. Because to them, as long as they can keep lying, trying to manipulate the system, people, it's all good. I sat in court with my ex the other day, and this is funny. I'm going to tell this story before I got off. So my ex has told everyone that I lied on her about child abuse. Today, the other day in court was a really good day, people, because my lawyer actually exposed the fact that I didn't lie on her, people, that the child abuse allegations literally happened within days of them actually happening, and that we had been speaking about them since the day it happened. Now, see, she lied and told everyone that I created these allegations because she broke up with me. That was a lie, people. But the problem is that there's such a high discriminatory factor against men in domestic violence that everyone wanted to believe this woman. And so people turned on me and helped this woman, became complicit in violating my civil rights. So now this woman's whole mission now is try to continue to fraudulently set me up to make me look like a liar so I can stop talking and doing these broadcasts where I educate my audience on how your civil rights are violated and what you can do. See, she's angry because I'm using what happened to me, the truthful account of how her pastor literally used his connections with the NYPD to have me falsely arrested because I won a New Jersey order of protection. People, this is not an allegation. This is a fact. This happened. People, I won a trial on December 1st. By December 5th, this woman's warrant, the active warrant she had, was dismissed. And the same precinct that had that warrant was allowing her to file a complaint against me with absolutely no physical proof and for allegations that occurred in New Jersey. People, Staten Island grossly violated my civil rights in that arrest, and they know it. So what they did was they further tried to defame me by allowing this woman to take to podium and become an advocate for domestic violence, despite the fact that she had already been found guilty in the state of New Jersey for assaulting a child. Because if my child is listed in an order of protection and the judge heard both sides of allegations and decided to leave my child as a protected party in a final lifetime order of protection, in that judge's mind, something happened with this child where my child needed protection. People, it wasn't me. But because there is no direct piece of paper that says she abused it, and she has a piece of paper that says it's unfounded, she's claiming it's a lie. For legal purposes, for anyone who doesn't know, an unfounded decision in an abuse case does not mean that the complaint is a lie. It simply means that the investigative agency could not conduct enough of an investigation to determine whether or not it was the truth. It does not mean the allegation was a lie. And when we went before the family court of Essex County and the judge actually looked at the text messages of her laughing about assaulting the child, the proof that she contacted the mother, and she's the one who started the child abuse investigation because she contacted the mother. The judge saw all of these factors, and the judge found that she was not only a danger to me, she was a danger to my child. He ordered a lifetime order of protection with complete no contact restrictions, and additionally put a 1,000-foot stay away on this woman to stay the hell away from me and my infant daughter. People, the racism in law enforcement is so severe that there is proof on the record that this woman has been going after the child that is named in a protective order, and nothing has been done about her. But you can bet your life, if this woman was a mother and she said that I tried to make contact with a child, the police would have arrested me multiple times already. And that further confirms what my argument, my position towards law enforcement, that law enforcement is incredibly gender biased and even more so racially biased against male victims of either criminal or domestic violence offenses. So, people, this is why I have decided to sue the states of New York and New Jersey to put my allegations before a federal judge. I'll put it before the appeal court. People, I'll bring this shit to the Supreme Court, and I happen to know how to do it now, thanks to my offender. See, people, there's always a good side to something bad that happens to you. And it takes a very special person. It takes a person of an open mind, and it takes a man with God in his heart to realize and accept the positive aspects of a horrible situation that can happen to you. See, my ex stalked me, and the things she did to me might have been terrible, but people, it changed me as a person because it gave me the discipline and it gave me the hunger to learn my civil rights so I could fight these same unjust people who cloak themselves in the mantle of respectability and honor and credibility, to expose them for what they actually are. People, law enforcement is saturated with unethical, lying, racially biased people. That is a fact, people. Law enforcement is infested with people who don't like lesbians and gays, who don't like blacks, whites, or Chinese, who don't like men, who don't like women. People, we're being controlled by the American legal system, by the personal opinions of the employees that work there. That's not the point of the legal system. The point of the legal system is to review facts and to make determinations based on factual evidence, not for you to be charged or convicted because a cop wants to buy a boat for his damn house, or because this cop needs to pay his son's college tuition. So falsely setting you up on a crime is going to give him maybe 30, 40 hours for the week so he can have to do your paperwork. Now you have to deal with a court case for a year or two, possibly a trial, possibly you may have to take a plea because you don't have convictions. People, all of this is wrong. So that's my mission, people. The message of this broadcast, is that victims need to hold those who falsely accuse them accountable. You can't drop the ball just because the court has decided not to further prosecute you. I get it, man. The scars are deep when someone has lied on you and dragged you through court and false arrest, socially slandered you. People, I get it. The scars are so deep that you just want to move on and go on with your life. People, I'm the same man that this has happened to. Believe me, I want to move on with my life. But if I move on with my life and accept the fact that I have exposed these women and don't think about the future, you know what happens? Some other poor bastard goes through this. Some other man, and I'm not even talking about a man who dates my ex, because any man who dates her, he got to deal with that. I could care less about that. That's that man problem. I'm talking about overall what the system does to male victims of domestic violence and criminal victims in criminal actions. They completely violate our rights. And that's my mission. My mission is to fight. I was falsely accused. I am going to fight the system. I am going to file federal civil litigation against the system, and I'm going to try to hold the system accountable, because accountability is the only way we can truly change what is going on. The wrongs that are committed by the racially biased people, by the gender biased people who infest law enforcement. The cops, the domestic violence advocate, the prosecutors, people, it is a sick system where they literally work with each other to create conspiracies to frame innocent victims. That is the truth, people. And I know this for a fact, people. I have transcripts, I have recordings. People, my federal case, I'm praying that I'm able to effectively put all of this before the courts so some real change is effectuated. Because, people, I have NYPD sergeant recordings where the sergeants are admitting that my civil rights are being violated and that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office is responsible for it. I have recordings with advocates from domestic violence agencies like Safe Horizon, where they're telling me on the phone they know I'm the legal victim, but refusing to grant me services, even though the states of New York and the federal government provide them with millions of dollars of funding to help actual domestic violence victims. Me, a person with an actual final trial order of protection. This place did not have the legal authority or the right to ignore my valid status as a domestic violence victim because my ex happened to be a woman that many of them within the Staten Island Family Justice Center was friends with. People, that was wrong. So people, we're going on 21 minutes. I only plan to be 20, so I'm going to stop. Know your rights, people. Fight those who falsely accuse you. Fight the state, people, because that's your real fight. Your fight is not against the person who lied on you, because the police don't care. If you're falsely arrested, if petitions are falsely filed against you, if the family court perpetuates a false petition against you that is later determined to be false, people hold that court accountable for a failure for the county to train the judge. Because the truth is, these judges, these DAs, these cops, the state is supposed to provide training so they know their job duties as, let's say, a domestic violence prosecutor, as a homicide prosecutor, as a fraud, as a white collar crimes. There are classes where these people are supposed to receive training so they do the right thing. And people, when they don't do the right thing, it's the fault of the municipality who failed to train them. So people, I'm going to sue the city of New York because of the failure of the Kings County Court to actually, and Staten Island, excuse me, to acknowledge and respect my rights as the actual victim, despite the fact that there was solid, excuse me, I'm stuttering. There was solid evidence to prove that the petitioners had lied through their teeth on me. I have been stalked, I have been harassed, I have been maliciously prosecuted using family court for almost 3 years for allegations that both judges now know have been completely falsified and completely unsubstantiated. People, I would be a fool. I would be a man who is not about what I have been preaching for months if I was to stop the fight against these government entities. Again, my problem is not the people who lied on me. They're a problem. They're horrible, scumbag people, and life is going to punish them. My ex-girlfriend who lied on me like this, people, she's going to have problems with other men. I can see that. Her mother's still all of her life. She's lying through her teeth. Any man that doesn't look into her last relationship and what really happened with her ex is a fucking fool. Because how could you date a woman with this much criminal activity against her and think she's actually a victim when there's orders against her? You have to be honest about that. But people, whoever that guy is, that's his damn problem. He can keep that crazy lying heifer right where he's at. I want nothing to do with her. What I want is the prosecutors, the judges, the damn advocates in the domestic violence programs that were supposed to help me. What I want is them held accountable, because the people, the truth is, people, is that they don't deserve their position. If you've been made a judge to respect the rights of someone who's actually a victim, it's not your right to deny a victim their rights. If you're a cop to protect victims, you don't have the authority to set up an innocent victim and make him an offender because you like the defendant better than the victim. This is what cops do. If you're a domestic violence advocate, you have a legal obligation based on federal law that provides your funding. State law provides your funding to support the actual victims of a domestic violence dispute, which means if I had the final order of protection, it makes me the superior claimant, which means the court and this agency had to help me, but they refused. So people, I fight every day. Stay tuned for more information. Tomorrow, we're going to do a brief live cast and begin to start with Monell versus the Department of Social Services. And that is the case that created the legal statute by which you can hold the municipality responsible for failure to train its officials in properly executing their job. What I have just said, the family court, the police do, the domestic violence advocates do when they fail to provide true victims with the actual benefits of the programs that are paying their salaries, people. Monell versus Department of Social Services is your avenue to sue someone who claims to not be a person under the color of law, like a prosecutor, even the police. You can sue the police, you can sue social services, you can sue the Board of Ed. All of these government agencies that claim that they are not persons under 1983 can be sued with Monell versus the Department of Social Services. So we're going to get into that case law probably Saturday, excuse me. I just realized tomorrow's Friday, so I can't do it. But probably Saturday morning, I'm going to do probably a 1 to 2 hour live cast where we're going to go through the concepts behind Monell versus the Department of Social Services, how it's applicable. We're going to define the statute and how it relates to the police, how it relates to family court, how it relates to the district attorney, and how it relates to social services or anything that has to do with the rearing and the management of your child. People, the purpose of Operation Rock is education, because with knowledge there is power. And with power, if people come together, we are a force. My wish is to create that force to stop the injustice that happened to me. So, on behalf of Operation Rock, people, this was a great, quick live broadcast. We're going on 25 minutes, so I'm going to end this. I love all. Stay